it's Harley. So this is the Game of Thrones episode 603, 604, and 605 review. I am doing 3 episodes instead of 2 because I've been busy and I got a little backed up, and I have notes. I will be referring to the notes because there's a lot of stuff that happened in these episodes. In 603, Oathbreaker, Jon is alive! Oh my god, he's alive. He is weak and a little disoriented, which I think is to be expected because, he was dead. So we get to see him kind of bounce back, I guess, if you can do that after you've been murdered. And see his struggle to decide to either continue the fight or just walk away from it all. There is a great inspirational quote from Mr. Seaworth. I cannot remember his first name. But he says, "So you failed? Okay, now go fail again." Great advice. Hi, Deadpool. Chips, really? How are you going to eat those? Genius.
You don't feed me.
Well, that's not my problem. You need to figure it out. We also get to see that Samwise and Jilly are alive with baby Sam. They are traveling by ship to Old Town and come up with a plan, sort of, for what will happen with the baby and Jilly while Sam is at the Citadel getting trained. Bran is strengthening his visions, or his use of his visions, and we get to see the beginning of the Battle of Light, battle at the Tower of Light. I don't know for sure if that's what it's called. I didn't actually have time to look it up, but I thought it was interesting that we get to see how history rewrites itself. The winner isn't always necessarily the true winner. It's more who survives the battle and can say how the battle went, because nobody is there to argue with you. The dead can't right the wrongs or tell the truth or say, hey, it didn't happen exactly like that. So Bran got to see that his dad might have exaggerated a little, might have bent the truth in his favor, just to make things easier going home and trying to explain this battle that happened. We still did not see what happens to Lyanna and why she is in the tower, or what she, happened to her while she was in the tower. Really, Deadpool?
Sorry. I'm so important with my YouTube channel.
I'd like to be offended, but I'm really not, because I have 10 people that watch this, so anyways. Cersei and Jaime are taking over the little birds. Maybe it was apparent to everyone else, but I did not realize that it was the children of the town that were the little birds. Oh, come on now. I'm not picking that up.
You don't pay me. I'm not picking it up.
And we get to see Jaime and Cersei struggle with their power to go from being the queen to really no longer the queen, and have it be pointed out over and over again. And Jaime is fighting for his children, that no one can know are his children. That's right. Tommen finally talks to the High Sparrow, and I honestly cannot tell you what they talked about, because the whole time I was convinced that they were going to just take Tommen and just put him in a cell like they have done with Marjorie and with Marjorie's brother. And so I have no idea what was discussed at all. It was just, it's all a blur. I just wanted to make sure that little Tommen, the poor little thing, just stays okay at some point. I want one of the children to be okay, because they really have no fault in any of this. It's just that where they were born into, and that the Lannisters are just in general terrible people. And then finally, at the end of this episode, we get to see that Rickon is not dead yet. He is in Ramsay's dungeon. Ramsay is probably skinning him a little bit at a time as we speak, and it is super sad to me, because he's just a little kid, and I want to protect little kids. So moving on, The Book of the Stranger is number 604. And this was a really great episode.
Dog's eating those chips.
Zelda, don't eat the chips. If you throw up, he's going to clean it up.
We should really script this.
So in these 2 episodes we've seen, and throughout the beginning of this season, we've seen that everybody is struggling with their confidence and struggling to find their balance. And in the beginning of 604, Jon and Sansa are finally reunited, and it gives them each a little bit more of that confidence back and just that stability that they each need to have someone they can really truly trust and lean on. What I found really amazing about this is that we are 6 seasons into the show. This is the first time these 2 characters have ever been on screen together. Now, I know a bunch of you out there are going to be like, no, that's not possible. I assure you, this is a thing. I've read it in several places. I even went back and tried to find it out myself by rewatching season 1.
This
one? Yeah, this one. And so it was really powerful to watch. It was really just touching and heartwarming to see both of them so happy for like 7 whole seconds while they have found each other and just found that comfort that you have by having family by you. It's one thing to have people around you that you can rely on, but to really have trust and be...
That dog's freaking me out.
She's just a dog, man. She's eating the chips that you threw on the floor. It's my dog, dude.
I think she farted.
She probably did.
Oh. Here, I'll take your dog out, master.
Good luck with that.
Oh, shit. I got her cat.
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
She's gonna bite me. Come here, Zoe.
Okay, so anyhow, we get to check in with Littlefinger and find that he now has, not really created, but, what's the word I'm looking for? He's gotten himself an army. He's gotten the backing of the Vale and the Vale army, and they are going to do pretty much what he says at this point. There was a big turning point with Tyrion. He makes a deal to have slavery end in 7 years, which seems like a big slap in the face to the people of Meereen and to Grey Worm, and just because they want it to be over instantly, which is very good in theory, but they're having trouble making it happen. So this is a way for Tyrion to kind of gain them some time to make it work, to be able to create these laws to end slavery and to have the ability to enforce them. It also gives the slave owners time to adjust and come to terms with what's going on in their world now and all these changes that are going to happen. We do get to see Dany is alive and well. She is at the Dush Khaleen and find out that she is going to be basically put on trial, more or less, to see if she can continue to live at the Dush Khaleen or if they're going to do something else with her. Dario and Jorah do find her and try to rescue her. Very ill-advised, try to rescue her. And fortunately enough, Dany's able to talk them out of it and comes up with her own plan, which I will circle back to because that was a huge thing. We get to see a bit of the High Sparrow talking to Marjorie, and this whole thing, I don't know if it's meant for us to understand him more or if it's meant for us to sympathize with him or what. I still just want to smack him in his pious little face. He is such an a-hole. I don't respect people who want to enforce their belief system on you. It's just not okay with me. And Marjorie's face while he's telling her the story is just fabulous. She's just so uninterested and so, can just predict what's going on and how his story's going to end. And she can completely see through his manipulation and that he's trying to get her to get Sir Loras to give in, basically, and to admit his sins. Are you okay over there? Are you sure? What's happening with you right now?
Your dog farted. It smells so bad.
Man, she's a stinky dog. You just kind of get used to it. You're the one that's giving her potato chips. You think that helps?
Who's gonna watch this?
Oh, Jesus. This is what I live with all the time. This is why I try to lock him in a room and not here. Jaime and Cersei finally form a plan with the small council to get the frickin' High Sparrows out of town. We have yet to see that happen, but it's coming. I've seen the episode 6 preview. Don't feed them to the dog.
I'm not. I'm taking my chips and I'm going home.
Alright, good deal. Later.
Peace out, Harlequin!
Jeez. Unfortunately, I cannot remember her name, but the cute little wildling that was taking care of Rickon, she just cannot use her sexy wily ways to get her out of this one, and Ramsay just takes her down. On the one hand, at least he just puts her out quick, one stab to the throat and it's done. On the other hand, I really wish she could have reached for that knife a little bit sooner and just done the same thing to him, because it would have just made my day. But at the end of this episode, or close to the end of this episode, we do see Jon and Sansa decide they are going to take Winterfell. So this is something they've been working on for a couple of episodes now, and it really comes down to Ramsay has Rickon. Are we just going to let him suffer and die, or are we going to go and fight and try to get our home back? And they decide that yes, they are. They just have to come up with a plan. Now, Dany is the last thing we see in this episode. Dany at the Dush Colleen, trial under fire, or by fire, as the case may be. It really turns the tables on them. They think that they have her, that the Kells can pretty much do what they want with her. And she assures them that that is not the case. Burns the frickin' thing to the ground and walks out naked and beautiful as the day she was born, and just kills it. She is now the new queen of the Dothraki, and it's amazing. It's really amazing. I know a lot of people out there are going to say, but that's not what happened in the books. I don't give a shit what happened in the books. I didn't read the goddamn books yet. I don't have time. I got 2 kids and a fucking Deadpool to deal with. So, and an Ivy. I shouldn't say an Ivy and a Zelda. Zelda, say hi. Hi. So, I really like the way they went with this. I think that it makes more sense from the show standpoint to know that, I mean, this is something that Dany's been able to do over and over again. She's taken scalding hot baths. She has walked out of fire before. It's misleading to think that somehow that magic just goes away. And I guess in the books it's blood magic, and then it was supposed to be a one-time thing. But I really just think that is misleading in the whole thing. It doesn't coalesce with the rest of the story. So, getting on to episode 605, The Door. This one was rough. I love it, but just the way it ended was so sad. And I'll come back to that. Let's start at the beginning. So, Sansa finally gets to confront Littlefinger to find out if he knew how horrible of a husband Ramsay was going to be. And it's kind of left ambiguous. We're not really told one way or the other. Littlefinger, being Littlefinger, he's able to talk his way out of the damn thing and get her to leave him alive, when really she should probably cut him down. Well, more likely have Brienne cut him down at that point, but he weasels his little way out of it, which may end up benefiting her in the end. He can be a really crafty ally to have on your side, as the case may be, but he was also a big player in Sansa's dad's betrayal, so if she finds that out, I don't think he's going to get try number 3. Jorah reveals the truth to Dany. So that was a heartbreaking scene because he finally admits how much he loves her. And she does love him on some level, just not in the same way that he loves her. And she really doesn't want him to be, like, dead. She doesn't want him to be alone when he has this horrible thing happening to him. But she can't have him stay either. So the way that she commands him to go find a cure, it's pretty interesting. And I think it may lead back to some sort of blood magic again, because we've already seen that this can be cured under some circumstances. They were able to stop it in the little girl, Stannis Baratheon's little girl. So there is a way out there. We'll have to see if Jorah comes back later on in the season. We finally get to see Jon and Sansa make a plan to take back Winterfell and to really see who they can get on their side. How much of the North can they regroup to back the Starks one last time and get damn Boltons the hell out? We'll see. We get to see the Greyjoys. What's his name? Theon gets home. He's going to back Yara for a queen. She would be the first queen of the Salt people, or of the Ironborn people. She would have the Salt throne. And then Euron steps in, which isn't surprising because we knew Euron killed the king in the first place, but to see them kind of face off and just all of the political back and forth, it was kind of exhausting. And to see them be able to get away, it kind of leaves me to wonder, well, where the hell are they going to go now? They're not welcome in Westeros. They don't, I mean, I guess they're sea people. They could live on ships for the rest of their life, but if Euron really can build a fleet and carry out his lovely little plan to go meet Dany, they are not going to have anyone on their side. At least Theon at this point is trying to redeem himself. He's trying to become a better person. And I guess, I mean, at this point, what does he have left to lose? He has lost pretty much everything a man can. Sorry, Theon. I do have to touch on a couple other things, then we'll wrap this up. So, the storyline this season for Arya, it's kind of driving me nuts. I really just can't get into it. Every time she comes on scene, I just want them to get to whatever they are going to with this. It's driving me freaking insane. I just don't care anymore. Fucking be no one or be someone, I don't care. It's just so exhausting because there's so little to it. I love her character, but this whole thing where she's trying to become no one in this multi-faced god business and everything, it's just, I just want them to get to the fucking point. I'm over it. Moving on. We get to see a new Red Woman for the Lord of Lights. She has the same necklace, and I know you, much like me, were all wondering if you take that necklace off, is she an ugly old hag too? Because we all know that Melisandre is. Alright. Really? Deadpool? Really? Did it turn off? Okay. I will have to hurry because I think I'm losing my battery and we gotta move on. Okay. So, what else? Red Woman. Okay, so I'm to the very end. The horrible, horrible end. Bran, in his infinite wisdom, goes and has a vision without having the three-eyed raven to guide him. And he meets a White Walker. And in his vision, the White Walker touches him. We come to find out that makes the White Walker able to then follow them past the magical barriers and get into the cave where they've been able to be safe. We've sort of seen in the visions that Bran's had up until this point that he is getting stronger and stronger and more able to manipulate what he sees in his visions as actual happenings. In the Tower of Light, he's able to almost get his dad to recognize that he's there. In the vision with his dad and his brother as little kids, he's able to sort of get Hodor to look at him. In all of this, the White Walkers attack, and they are not going to make it out. But they find a way through a back alley of some sort or some back door out of the cave to escape. The only way to do this is for Leaf, one of the earthling or the earth forest creatures, has to sacrifice herself, which I think is enough blood magic that when Hodor holds the door, hence his name, it makes him who he is. So this whole thing has been tied together this whole time, and it's very time travel-y, where you have to kind of think, okay, is it all a circle? The one thing that caused Hodor to be him is really happening in the future, but it's happening in the past at the same time. So there's that duality of what is really first, the chicken or the egg. And how is that going to play into the future if Bran can continue to manipulate the things that he sees in his past visions? And potentially there's rumor that he may even be able to see into the future. So we'll have to see what happens there. Sadly, I believe now at this point we are down to one direwolf left of all the cubs. Jon's the only one, I believe, that has a direwolf left. And I think that's going to come into play at some point because they've all sacrificed themselves for the Starks. And at some point, we know that Jon's going to be attacked again. And I think that Ghost is going to be the casualty of that. But by this episode, everybody has got a plan. They've got their confidence. They have got their feet moving in the right direction. So I'm super excited to see where they go with episode 606. I will try not to wait so long to post between videos. If any of you care out there, let me know. And we'll have to see what happens next. Bye, guys.